Mason Mount is back after a long period off through injury. Ruben Amorim says 5 minutes will be enough for him as Man United takes on Leicester City. But how important is Mount in the Manchester United team for the future? Subscribe to the United of Sport and let's get proper into this talk to understand how Ruben Amorim views this Champions League winner, Mason Mount. Now, listen, guys, Mount is a good footballer. Let's be clear about this. Mount is a good footballer, just that he has not proved it at Manchester United. You can be good, but don't not get the opportunity to prove yourself because of many reasons. Probably because the coach doesn't like you, which is not the case for Mount, because clearly he's loved by Ruben Amorim. He keeps waxing lyric about him, saying he's a Champions League winner, he has got the right attitude, the right discipline, the right mentality, good positivity, always smiling even when injured. He's always putting in the hard yards to try and be fit, doing everything in his power to be fit and available for the team. When he's fit, Mount is definitely ahead of many of these Manchester United players. So I think we've got to have to first accept that. We might have our own feelings. Even I had my personal opinions about Mount and how he wasn't a right player for Eric Ten Hag to sign. But we are past that now, and we should acknowledge the fact that Mount is a good footballer who, if kept fit, can come in handy more times than not. Now, to go proper into his contribution because of his press, Ruben Amorim seems to want to position Mount as one of the senior players that these so many youngsters he builds the team on can learn from. But to do that, he has got to be able to keep him fit because when he's fit, Mount can definitely show players, first of all, how do you press. Because if you notice Mount's game, by the way, one of the things I've noticed about him, besides his pressing and his hard work, he runs a lot, covers a lot of ground. He's unrelentless in how he plays. I think he's a technical player. I think he's a technically gifted player, which is a very important attribute if you're going to thrive in the Ruben Amorim system. This 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3 looking expansive now lately. So a player like Mount can be important, even just being around the dressing room, even when he's not starting games because perhaps he's not fully fit. His presence can support the young players to try and understand how the team is expected to play under the new setup. I was listening to Sir Jim and even Amorim himself saying United needs many more Brunos. Now Mount might not be Bruno because Bruno doesn't get injured, and that's the opposite of Mount. But in terms of other aspects, in terms of hard work and the right attitude, I think Mount is not so far off Bruno. So such a player at a time like this, I think I will not complain a lot about him being there and earning whatever he's earning. I feel we need a few more experienced players around the so many young players we're going to build the team around, and Mount can be that. The issue is how can he be kept fit? Because again, for as long as he goes on falling off through injury, come back, play 2 games, then fall off again, it certainly then cannot be justified no more. It gets to a point where you can no longer justify it no more. But the truth is, Mount is a very, very, very important player for Ruben Amorim, and that we've got to accept. Now, he's not the only guy who returned. Remember, Manuel Ugarte, and people forget, Ugarte was an unused substitute for the game against Real Sociedad. And Amorim is going back to the things he was doing in the past. And of course, people will complain, Amorim doesn't have a starting 11. Why isn't Ugarte playing games? Blah, blah, blah. But I think he's going back to, again, the previous thing he was doing when he just arrived, trying to understand his players, but also to manage the injury situation, rotating the players. Because the bigger the squad, the more players available for him, because he has said it himself, he needs as many players fit. The more fit players available to him, the more depth he has and the more options he has to rotate the team. And when he rotates them, it will limit the chances of most of these players getting injured. They are getting injured because they are playing way too many games. So Amorim inevitably has got to find ways of rotating the team. So you might be complaining about him not playing Ugarte because people were actually texting me and saying, why didn't Ugarte play? And I'm saying, but we won the game convincingly. It was the most convincing Man United victory and Ugarte didn't kick a ball. Arguably our better central midfielder. So I think for me, we've got to get used to the rotations. I think in the modern game, I mean, people will talk about how historically Man United and all the great teams have always had a starting 11 to play with. You see, I think Man United doesn't have that luxury no more because of one, the lack of depth, three, because of injuries. Every now and then, players are falling off because of injuries, but also perhaps these Man United players are never going to be fit enough to give you a good run. Someone will definitely fall off, except Bruno, but someone else will definitely fall off. So perhaps their fitness levels generally are not good, and partly that's because of the training facilities they've had, and that's why Ineos, in solving the so many problems of Man United, the first thing they looked to do was to improve the Carrington training facility to standards that meet the current demands to be a fit player playing these so many games. United had lagged so far behind in terms of fitness and facilities, and Cristiano Ronaldo complained about this. Now, there's no way you expect Man United players to be as fit as Liverpool or Man City or Real Madrid players if the facilities are for decades ago. So, I think if you get that appreciation and understanding, you can see understand what Amorim is trying to do. Play this one today, rest them, rotate, but just make sure that everyone who comes in understands what you want to do, understands the way you want to play as a team, maintains their identity, and just has the instructions flowing. And I think we are almost beginning to see that. I feel like all players, even the substitutes who are brought in, come in with the right attitude. That's one. Two, I think with the exception of Garnacho before, who was frowning when pulled off, but I think now he's starting 3 games in a row, and he's bowling for fun. Probably he's looking happier now. But most of the players, Man United players now, seem to be playing with more ease and more flair and fluidity and more understanding and appreciation of what Amorim wants them to play. They seem to be flowing. They seem to be more free and expressive, which looks good on Manchester United. Very important. So for me, this depth in the team is the confidence, and depth, by depth I mean ability for all players, even the bench players, to come in and fit in, is for me, I think one of the things that give me the confidence that what the rotation that Amorim is doing is okay. This is what gives me the confidence that the Amorim rotation is okay, it can work, it can make sense. So, guys, let's not fuss about it. Let's appreciate it, understand why he does it, because every time Amorim changes the Man United squad, I get inboxes, messages, people telling me, what's wrong with this guy? Why does he keep rotating? Why doesn't he have a starting 11? He can't. These players are never fit. Maguire could return for the game against. He says he doesn't want to risk him. But Maguire, who was one of our better centre-backs, falls off again because of injury. Lenny Yoro is out. Young and old, everyone is not cannot maintain their fitness. It's a whole lot of things. Even psychologically, I think psychologically players lose it. And the psychology spreads into the physical. And players fall off through injury. So it's a whole, a collection of things, a concoction of things that are putting us in a place where we've got to rotate the team so that not certain individual players do not feel the load. Otherwise, we might lose the entire team, which certainly will not help us at all. So that's what I think. But so Mount, important player, good presser, a hard worker, experienced player, but also the youngsters like Chido Obi will have a lot to learn from a player like Mount if they are going to indeed set their careers off to a start at this time when Man United is rebuilding. My name is Webb. This is the United of Sport. I'll catch you later.